And welcome back, brothers and sisters. How are you lovely souls doing today? Are we ready to be mind blown? Are we ready to talk about spiritual technology? Are we ready to discuss the things that we may not necessarily detect day to day with our normal senses? Do we know what we truly are? If so, why don't we discuss that? There's all kind of things you could talk about. My favorite thing to talk about is the spirit, the soul, because that's who you really are. You know, a lot of people talk about their physical bodies for their whole physical body's lifetime. Think about what I'm telling you. They worry about how they look. Big shout out to Teardrop Hall, man. Says off the top, make no mistake, leading the way in knowledge. Listen, whenever y'all see Teardrop Hall in the chat, put some respect on their name. That's my beautiful family. All right. This Teardrop Hall is actually a couple for people who don't know. So I don't know if that's bro or sis, but I love both of y'all, and I thank y'all for continuing to support me. No matter what, man, Teardrop Hall is just there supporting. I'm talking about, you name it, man. Facebook, YouTube, the super chats, and just the encouragement is priceless, you know. So I thank them. And today we're gonna get into something real deep, because a lot of people have conversations about the god Saturn, about the planet Saturn. And I think what I know about Saturn should be taught exclusively in a stream like I'm about to do now. Everything is just about Saturn. Okay, SOS, Secrets of Saturn. Let me see you put that in the chat room. Let me get an SOS in the chat. We about to do Secrets of Saturn. That's good. I got to get my smoothie going too, man. Y'all waking up to my fruits, my greens, my smoothies. And if you want to know what I fuck with, I fuck with this here boathouse. I do the berry boost. I also do the naked make good ones too, and they got a good green machine. A lot of us don't get fruits and vegetables. I'm telling you, it's a cheat code for this shit, man. A smoothie now. It's a cheat code for this shit, y'all. Smoothie. Let's get into these teachings. We're going to do something different today because I love y'all so much. I said we can't keep sharing the same stuff. I got to teach them in different ways, because I know y'all like me, man. You know, when I was in school, my teacher had to come with it, because, you know, when you got them deep thinking students, you can't keep getting up there doing the same thing, teacher. Some of us ain't slow now. Some of us is deep, and it's going to take a little bit more. So I said, you know what? Let me open up my music program and teach from the perspective of music. Why, Brother Sanchez? Because life is a song. So let's talk about music and how music is prepared before you hear it. And when I explain to you how a producer prepares music using what's called saturation, you're gonna learn about how your soul was made by the Creator. Let me get a flat power. That just made my heart say, oh. You know, sometimes some be so deep, your heart just say, oh, shut up, hard up. Oh, no, I'm not in the Christian church no more, but I still have them moments, y'all. Some of the shit come out of my mouth, I be listening to myself, and I be like, oh, hallelujah. Let's talk about it, y'all. This is what we're gonna do. Let me open up a track so I can explain what I'm talking about, okay? I'm gonna use one of my tracks. And we got to get, now a lot of people that like the pretty slides, the collages, the colorful pictures I show, we're gonna get to it. I ain't gonna let you down. You know I got you. But crawl with me first. I know a lot of y'all don't like technical shit. We gotta get technical, we gotta get complex first, we gotta think, okay, before we get deep into the collages and the syncretism. All right, Black Power, hit the like button. So let's talk about it from a technical sense, right? What is saturation? You got to learn what saturation is if you fully want to understand what the god Saturn represents. Now, if you someone who thinks Saturn is a real god and that planet up there is some dude controlling your actions, you're in the wrong place. You need to start off in a smaller class because we're a little bit further than you here. All right, we're not teaching about this stuff as literal gods. There's not no dude controlling your actions. You the dude either fucking up your life or making it to heaven. You ain't got nobody to blame for it, so don't think you're gonna come over here and get that shit from me. You on the wrong channel. Everything I'm gonna teach you today is gonna show you how you fucking up. Not how the devil doing, making your ass do it. Not how Saturn controlling your ass. Because a lot of people that talk about Saturn, they like to take the blame away from the individual. You know, shit like, hey man, be careful, Saturn in retrograde and it's gonna make y'all do some fucked up shit. Man, ain't now one of them stars up there controlling me. We controlling them stars, y'all. I figured it out. I figured it out, y'all. Them stars ain't controlling us, y'all. We controlling them damn stars, y'all. I figured this shit out, y'all. Now bear with me. You can kill it. What I mean, see, we controlling them stars. We are the damn stars, y'all. And if you ain't got control over nothing else, you got control over your goddamn self. We got to get out of the kind of talk that says that planet right there made me do that. You know, my girlfriend cheated on me. Oh, that was because Mercury was in retrograde. No, she was because she was a hoe. Somebody got to be real with this shit now. You know, somebody got to be real with it, man. You know what I'm saying? That brother Shiesty, he fake as fuck right now. I don't get what's wrong with that nigga. Well, you know it's a full moon out there. No, this nigga a full bitch. Real talk. Them stars ain't making you an asshole. You making you an asshole. You are the star. We got to get that out the way quick for the people that's coming in here thinking I'm finna get them some pseudoscience. You ain't gonna be able to point no blame, none of that shit. I'm gonna empower you to be what the fuck you wanna be. You ain't gonna have nobody to blame shit on over here. None of that. We ain't even got deep yet. Hold on. All right, let's talk about this because we got to start from the technical part before we start talking about the god Saturn and all that. Now, who is Saturn with all the rings around him? Let's go ahead and de-spookify this so that when we move on, we ain't got to deal with the shenanigans, man. All right? So I'm going to do another window capture. Why? Because I love y'all. I love y'all. We'll do whatever we got to do for however long we got to do it to show you that you are Saturn and you the one that's surrounded by all those rings. And when you get what I'm teaching you today, you're going to learn why the Bible say the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Now, I'm going to put this down here in the bottom right so you can see that what they're giving you for Saturn is you. Now let me show you something. Before we get deep into this, because we got to get technical. I'm going to teach y'all, but you know, I'm going to do it slow. I'm going to slow grind you. I'm going to be country. And you're going to wait, because why? It's your boy, man. You know, it's your boy, get your way. Let your boy do this, well, hey, let your boy hold some. But if you don't say let your boy, you might not get that shit. You gotta say let your boy. Man, let your boy go on, hold that shit down. Hold up, y'all, I'm looking for something. Let your boy look for a minute, man. Yeah, man, let your boy look for a minute. I know I'm taking time. Let your boy get one more minute. Hold up. Damn, I'm about to find this shit. Let your boy get one more minute. You know I ain't organized, but let your boy get a pass, man. Damn. Here we go. We're going to talk about Saturn. You know, they say this nigga show up to teach a lesson and start arranging the damn presentation while he live. I can do that. Why? Because I'm entertaining y'all while I do it. So let your boy get a pass. God damn. All right, so let's talk about it. The Lord of the Rings, which is you, not Saturn. Life is a satire. Think, people. Life is a satire. Earth is made of multiple worlds. You exist on each of these stages acting a different character, which is a different version of the self. Let's talk about these different versions of the self. Okay, let's talk about these different versions of the self. So the outermost body, or the what we call the lightest of all, the outermost chakra is called the divine body. It's the lightest of all because it shines the brightest and it's the least dense. The word light is dealing with illumination, is also dealing with weight. Light has no weight. Can you tell me what light weighs? Nothing. It's light. You feel me? So listen. Everything that composes the human being breaks down into these different layers of light. Each cosmos or planetarium is an egg within an egg, of course, just like the human body, and this became Saturn. We already know that. We're not going to be too redundant. We know Saturn is the ancient conception of Earth, and that this concept is not limited to the cosmos that you're living in. It's also a concept that's describing the body, which is another miniature cosmos that you're living in. You got to take a minute and think about what I'm telling you. You don't just live inside of the earth. Let me break this down to you. You live inside of the earth, and then you live inside of your body. Now, this is what you got to listen closely to before we get technical. Let's blow this up. When your spirit came into this world, it didn't pass through the barrier. It took on the makeup of this world. I want you to think closely to what I'm saying. When your spirit entered this world, it was like the barrier around this earth wrapped your invisible energy in these physical elements. So I don't know how to explain this other than to say that another way you can picture what I'm saying, picture a stage curtain. And let's say there are 7 curtains that you got to walk through. You got a red curtain, a blue curtain, a purple curtain, a green curtain. And you got to walk through all of these curtains, kind of like how a football team tear through the paper. But as you walk through these curtains, each color wrap you up like a gift. So when you walk through that green curtain, you're covered in a green curtain. And you keep on walking and you go through this purple curtain. Now you got a purple curtain over the green curtain. But you kept on walking and you went through a red curtain. Now you got red, purple, green. You layered now. So if I peel back one of them curtains, it's still not the true you. Think of an onion. You got to peel back the first layer, the second layer before you get to that center little bitty seed, which is really the true thing that's emanating to life. And if you put that back in the ground, it is infinite. That is really the life-bringing thing at the core. Why did I say that? The higher we ascend, the more chakras we have, just like walking through them curtains. Right now, we currently know of 7 chakras. But when you leave this plane, you will acquire an 8th chakra. Because each of the chakras are the different light bodies of you passing through these realms. And each time you pass through a realm, that copy of you goes with you to the next, but it's buried inside of the new you. Think about what I'm saying. All right? Because everything, what we're dealing with today is Saturn and the rings and what I like to call the multi-layered cosmos system that we're in. You're in a layer of reality right now. And when you leave this place, the essence of what you became here will go into the next body. And when you leave that place, whatever you transform there will go into the next body. You know how the rappers be like, we got stacks on stacks on stacks. Y'all, everything that's spiritually true, we say out of our mouth on surface level ways, and we don't know what we saying. We do got stacks on stacks on stacks. I'm showing you. Now check this out, y'all. We got to deal with the technical side so you can see where I'm going with all of this, because you don't know where I'm going yet. Here's a music track. See, I'm a musician. We talking about Saturn. I'm telling you, you're the Lord of the Rings that keep going through these worlds, acquiring more rings. See, people, listen to me, man. Let me put this back up here before we go deep. Listen to me, right? Check this out. Don't we give rings when we complete things in life? When a man take a vow and he completes his single life, there's a ring involved, right? See, every time something ends, something begins. So at the end of my single life was the beginning of my married life. See, at the end of this physical life is the beginning of your spiritual life. But see, every time you complete something, you get a ring. Because you're a superstar. Didn't I just tell you you're a star? Now, every time these rappers get a Super Bowl, look at the screen, y'all. We're talking about the bowls now. Every time they get a bowl, they get a ring. A bowl is a bull. Each dome was a cow goddess to a lot of ancients, and that's why we say the word bowl for bull today. So a parable is a literary version of a paradox. And I don't want to confuse you. Think when we say hyperboloid, hyperboloid, you're going to find that word bull or bowl or bell. Because if you look at the shape of this cosmos, it shapes like a bell. This is the Liberty Bell. Now check this out. It also shapes like a telephone. Listen, we got to go over this stuff before we get deep. Let me show you something. You need to understand why we say what we say. You need to understand that because look here. This is an old telephone you're looking at. Let's look at it. And you see a receiving end and a giving end. That's called sun and moon. You see those two hunched over the phone. That's called Sky Goddess Nut. I show y'all this all the time. Sky Goddess Nut gave birth to the sun and moon. Now, she's connected to Gaia, which would be the dial. See, she's communicating to the ground. This is magnetism, positive talking to negative. In between is the child, the unity, the conversation. When you put co in front of something, it's like combining. Converse, right, is what the heavens are doing to the ground. But when you see how this play into you, we're talking about the Lord of the Rings. What does this telephone do? All I'm doing is showing you how everything is everything. People like, damn, how is he doing this to my mind? I don't know, this is my gift. Everything dealing with this cosmology gonna have rings. You just gotta know how to find them. See, in between classes, the bell rang. In between lifetimes, you cross a ring. And they show you this when the movie come on. MGM, I think, with the lion jumping through the fire hoop. Yeah, that's us. That was Sekhmet. She was another version of the divine feminine within all of you. So, people, we're doing the symbolism now and then. We're going to get technical, but I'm still having my afternoon lunch, my smoothie. And I'm still rolling up, so you're going to be patient with me today. You know what I'm saying? Go on ahead and... You got my little cuz in here, and he learning with me too. Tell him what's up, cuz.
What's up, child?
Flat power with everybody out there. Thank y'all for, you know, coming through. Because I'm going to give you a lot of knowledge today. All right, talking about Lord of the Rings, we picking back up where we left off. So let's do it. I told you we got to get technical. The Bible talked about the first being last, the last being first. Now check this out. Each time you go through one of these little layers, you acquire a new chakra with that color ring around your body. I hope it's very, very simple. They got the bull going through the red cloth, and when the bull go through it, you see, you the bull traveling through these different realms, and each time you have a lifetime through one and you complete one, you get a new ring, just like the football players and all of them. So what's in between reality are the rings that separate the classrooms. You did this same shit in school. When you was inside of that classroom learning, you didn't hear no bell ring till you went out into the hallway. Now the name of the North Pole was called Valhalla. And you can see the word hall in the word Valhalla, in the word Allah. Allah is hall. It's Pig Latin for hall. See, when you say the name Allah, you're saying hall. You just gotta put the H from the, it's in the back, you gotta put that H back in the front, and then it'll be holla, because the voice of the Most High created this ripple effect. It was a hollering. That's why MGM show you the lion roaring in the ring. That lion is you, which is Judah. You are Judah. You're that lion in the ring. You're caught up in this classroom. You caught up in this classroom. But every time you pass through a world, you get another ring, man. We are motherfucking champions, y'all. I'm telling you, the rings that we get from the Most High is greater than any motherfucking ring that this beast can give you. When we're not in the classroom, we're in the hallways. And the hallway is the narrow path that Jesus was talking about. the valley of the shadow of death. We transport through that little blue pole. It's a hallway in between the classrooms. When we leave a classroom, we exit out of the bell rings, because now you're outside. Think about it. When you in that classroom, you know it's time to get up out of that classroom when the bell rings. And when we leave the earth, it's the same symbolism, people. Our bell is rung, out the Most High calls our number. And you now outside of that classroom, and it looks like a bell. It looks like a bell, and it's ringing. You can't perceive or realize the ringing because you're inside of the bell. You're inside of the bell. But when you get on the outside, it's like ring, 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 ring. You're born, that sound is actually you crying again, coming out of a new womb, in a new realm, in a new mother. Every time life comes, it comes with a ring or crying. See, this is what you gotta do. Take the C off the word crying, and you just got ring. See, people, that's what you gotta do. You gotta decode this shit. It's always the same symbolism, people. When life and death is traveling, you're traveling in between these layers. Now let's get to the technical part, because I think y'all getting this now. That we're the Lord of the Rings. Every time we ascend, we get a new ring, like champions. Now let's talk about how this relate to music. In the Bible, Jesus said, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. What I'm about to show you is a part of music that's called mastering. Think of the word we use, musicians. This step is called mastering. And how do you master a track? To master a track, you saturate it. Now let's talk about saturation. What happens if Brother Sanchez want to saturate? Now let's just hear this real quick. Let me put my headphones on. Let's get technical, people. I want y'all to really have on some good speakers or something. I'm gonna make it the way you're gonna hear what I'm doing. I'm gonna show you somehow how everything I just taught about Saturn, I use the laws of this in my music. Applicable shit that you can use. In fact, your shit won't even sound good if you don't saturate it. So the word Saturday was a day of saturation. Why? Because, like I said, when something ends, something began, and in between that beginning and ending is a ring system. We're talking about the Lord of the Rings. When the week ends, the weekend begins. We got a 5-day weekday, and that ends, and what begins is the weekend, and it begins on what day? Saturday. Because Saturday is in that in-between spot that I keep telling you about, that ring spot. When Saturday come, we know shit is about to repeat again. Okay, when these 2 days over, we know Monday finna come again. And it's a big repetitive system, just like I'm showing you with all of the rings. Even our calendar is set up this way. Now, how does this relate to music and why the first shall be last and last shall be first? And what do it mean to master a song and saturate it? Listen. Now that you heard that, what we're doing now, people, we're learning with our ears. Did you hear that? Okay, now, how would a musician master this? When it say the first shall be last and last shall be first, we're looking at sound vibration right now in a music program. And what we do when we saturate a track is we make the first notes last and the last notes first. And I'm using the word notes, but what I mean is waves. So let me show you what I mean. If you look at this track, you got this big old wave right here. Let's see what it sounds like. It sounds big because it's where a bass drum is hitting. But let's compare that to these little bitty waves. Look at these little bitty ones right here. Piano. Now, the key to saturation and how this would apply with this particular in music is we want to get these little bitty waves around the same size of these big waves. So when we master a song, we use something called saturation. And when we saturate a track, let me give you an example. Look at the waves. We're making the smaller waves big and the big waves small. So like Jesus said, the first shall be last, last shall be first. Let me show you how that would work. So in music, each of these lines going horizontal is equivalent to each of the rings. Each one of them is a different decibel of vibration. So to go higher is to move at a higher vibration to higher volume levels. And it's the same thing here with these numbers on the side. These are your heavens. These show you your decibels. Your decibels are your disciples. In music, we call them decibels, but in religion, they call them disciples. And they normally stop at the number 12, but in my software, it goes up to 18. So I'm just showing you that the number 12 was actually what we would max out to. But the thing is this, let's talk about saturation. Because when you look at the decibels, I'm looking at a -6 right here. And I see that this big old wave is hitting at a -6. But this little bitty wave right here is hitting around a -18. Now, that's a problem in music. And you got to have a way to get around that. And the way to get around that, we use something called saturation, where we make the first last and the last first. Now, watch what happened when I do my math, right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut everything around -12. Well, let's do around -9. So we're going to cut this off a little bit because it's too much dynamics. It's too steep. We want to even it out a little bit. Think about it, right? If I put you on a wiggly slide and the loops was just steep as fuck, that wouldn't be a good ride. But if I evened them out and made them more smooth like a snake, you'll say, yo, this is fun, man. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, we don't want these waves to be so dynamic. We want to kind of make them uniform. And to do that, we use something called saturation, where we actually bend the waves. What I'm about to do is bend the waves. And when I bend them, it's going to make the first last and the last first. Watch this. And when I say we're bending the waves, this is what the Creator did. Life is a song. The waves are bent above your head. We call them the domes. Check this out, right? Because all of these songs are waves. Look at this music like waves in the ocean. But if you look at ocean waves, they're uniform. Every now and then you get what's called a tidal wave. That's dynamic. That means in the ocean, all the waves was doing like this. But one day, oh shit, we got a big ass wave that knocked over the buildings. And that's what's going on in this song right here. We don't want no tidal waves. This is a tidal wave. That's gonna knock over, that's gonna lose when the listener hear this, it's gonna be too much dynamics going on. That's why when I played it, you was like, well, I get the beat, but it's not really, it's not hitting hard. So saturation is amplification. We're saturated in an aura, and that's what's making our dynamic body, our dense body, have amplification or animation in the animal kingdom. Stay with me. -9 is where we're cutting at. And now, what you ain't got to be a musician to know what I'm doing. I'm saturating the track using in spirituality the laws of the god Saturn. This is called mastering, because this is when you learn this, you become a master. Check this out. This is the final state of a song, and you gotta get it right. Musicians know what I'm talking about. All right, so here it is. What we want to do is make these waves less dynamic, make them more uniform with the smaller waves. And to do that, we're gonna saturate it by cutting it at 9 and boosting it by 6. And what that's gonna do, let me show you what that's gonna look like. Look at the waves when I do this. I want y'all to pay attention to the waves. You see how they became more uniform? Look at here. The smaller ones is big now, and the big ones is less small, so now they kind of more, compare it to this, right? These big as hell, look, it's going all the way up here. And these is just small. That's hard on a listener's ear. Our ears ain't designed to pick up those big changes in dynamics. Because when some hit real hard, boom, the human brain wants to hear an equal sound and repetition. So if I give you like a boom, then a boom, it's gonna be uncomfortable to the ears, because your ears just got used to hearing something loud, and now you just went real low. That's a big change in decibels. So in order to understand what I'm teaching you, you gotta understand dynamics. And in dynamics, you don't want that much of degrees of separation in decibels. So to get around that, you saturate the track. And let me show you. Now look at the waves and look at them again. The first shall be last, the last shall be first. In other words, these are the last right here. These are the first because they the loudest. Meaning, let's zoom this out, right? Let me show you why we need to saturate music. If you don't saturate your music and make these small waves big like the big ones and get some kind of uniformity, when you try to turn up the whole thing, you ain't gonna have a lot of headroom. Let me show you what I mean. Right now, we're gonna turn this whole track up to the loudest it can go. You see? It's still a lot of space right here that ain't being used. It ain't really touching the line, and you ain't really getting a lot out of that. See, this ain't a good way to do it because you ain't compressing it before you amplify it. Let me show you what I mean, and then we're gonna go to the symbols. So why would Brother Sanchez want to saturate it first before we amplify it? Because if I don't saturate it and make these waves uniform first, look at this. When I get ready to turn this thing all the way up, the first thing that's gonna hit the wall is these loud ass peaks that's jumping out of my track. And we want everything to hit the wall if we can. We really want much of these waves to be able to hit the wall as we can. But if we got just a few little unique random long ass waves that ain't uniform, when I get ready to turn it all up, them big ones gonna hit the wall first, and it ain't gonna let me turn it up no more. So we gotta limit those, and we use saturation. Now let's look at it again, what happens when I saturate it, right? Or when I master it. Let's do it again. Same sign. Now look at the waves. We zooming out now. We doing it from a further view. So you can see how this would relate to when I get ready to amplify the track. And then I'm going to show you why you are a song and the creator compressed you and did you the same way I'm doing this file. Now check this out. Let's put the saturation on it and let's look at the waves. And before I do this, let me point out to you what you need to focus on. Focus on the dense parts of this track and the least dense parts. So of course the dense parts gonna be these dark green areas, and these little loose lines, they kind of little, we want to get these little stragglers under control, get them more uniform, compressed with the meat of the track. So stay with me. What we'll do to do that, so look down here, you see there's a line right here. This is -6. And look at all these little ugly lines, thinking they so special, trying to stand out, you know, don't want to come together with unity. They want to peek out and try to climb up, you know, climb up higher than you and shit, instead of us go hand in hand as a family. We got to get them little motherfuckers under control, because when we try to turn it up, they gonna take away a lot of our space. We ain't gonna be as loud as we can be, because they trying to be heard individually. You get what I'm telling you now? So at -6, we see all the bad guys who want to stand on themselves and not want to have unity. They sticking out the line. Everybody else behind the line like, wait up, man, wait for your family. Shit. Gonna leave your family, nigga? So how do we get them, catch everybody up? What I'm gonna do with it, when I saturate this track, the ones that's first gonna be last, and the smallest little bitty, these little peaks, they so short, they the midgets. Them gonna be first. But them ones that's trying to rush out there to this line, them gonna be last. Now watch what happened. Because the first shall be last, last shall be first. See how uniform that got? See how more, now watch what happened when I turn this up. It's gonna let me turn it all the way up, because ain't nobody sticking their head up there blocking us before we all get to the wall together. Look how much louder that is. Look at how thick that is. If I was to hit this, it'll hurt your ears, so I ain't gonna do it. But I'm just showing you the laws of amplification. I would not be able to get this loud if I didn't make the first last and the last first. Now let me show you another example. Here's me trying to make it loud without saturating it. This is what'll happen. It won't be uniform, and it don't look loud, because these ones right here stopping everybody else. These little peaks right here, they making it to the wall first, and they stopping the rest of them from making it to the wall. These are the gate guards. These are the ones we got to get under control by cutting them off, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna show you that one more time, and we're gonna move on to the symbolism. This how we cut them off, by bringing them back to the bottom with us, snatching their ass off their high horse and say, hold up, nigga, you ain't special, come back here with us, nigga, crawl before you walk with us. You ain't special, get your motherfucking ass back here with the rest of us. We all gonna get to the promised land together, nigga. You trying to go first. Cause if you go first, we ain't gonna make no, we ain't gonna make no noise with just a few up there, but if we go in numbers, it's gonna be powerful. Boom, and that's what you get when you maximize and master the track. Didn't that shit start beating? Let's hear it. How does this relate to you? How does all this shit that I just showed you relate to you? Let's go back to the slides. Here's what you gotta realize. Well, let's wait before we go to the slides, because I don't think you fully grasp what happened over here. Before we go to the slides, let me point out to you what happened. See, When I say the first shall be last and the last shall be first, it's like flipping a balloon inside out, and you keep flipping it inside out and inside out. It ain't that the computer is necessarily cutting. Let's look at the waves again. See, look at these waves that we cut. We said we was cutting them and we was making the short ones long, but it ain't that we cutting them. See, when you say cutting, they call it the ripple. Saturn is the ripple or the reaper. And what I'm doing to this track is I'm cutting it, but it ain't that I'm slicing it. It's like when you cut some dope, you're adding something to it to water it down, that kind of cut. Let me show you some symbolism before we go further. Saturn is the ripper or the reaper. When you look at the cosmos, you're looking at the same thing I just showed you in the musical program. It's a wave, it's a vibration. And what happens when it repels and pushes in and pulls, it pushes and pulls, contraction, expansion. The first is last and the last is first. Nothing is cut. It's being recycled into itself and around itself. And I'm going to show you how this relates to, again, the music situation. It ain't that it's the ripper or that I'm ripping the track or that I'm cutting the track. Saturn represents saturation. I'm saturating the track. And how I'm doing it, I'm making the small ones loud and the loud ones quieter. I'm not cutting them. I'm not slicing the top off. And what you got to realize though, is that this piano is running through this drum. So think about what I'm telling you. The piano, the bass, the kick is all existing in the same space. Just like you. See, you're a song, and each of them different colors is an instrument. The percussion, the bass, the piano, the keys, and it's all stacked on each other. But so we can have some uniformity, we gotta make the small ones large and the large ones small. So that means you're a multi-layered individual that is shuffling itself in between the layers, like shuffling a deck of cards. Sometime the cards at the bottom gonna be on the top, and sometime the cards at the top gonna be at the bottom. This is how we recycle through the cosmos and make that figure 8. This is saturation, which was the true Sabbath, because Jesus is Saturn. Jesus is a form of the ripper. Set is a form of the ripper because Saturn is Saturn. This is how everything gets set. What I'm doing, I'm setting the track to its proper amplification. After that, I ain't gonna do nothing else to it. That's the final stage, how loud it's gonna be. And that's very important because every track don't need to be loud. For example, if I make a piano R&B song, I don't need to saturate it as much as a trap beat. You see, trap beats got to be more saturated because they're using more bass. How does this play out in spirituality? Evil people need more ass whoopings than good people. Remember, saturation is a god they call Set. And this is how the nature works with us to maximize or amplify us. They call it normalization in music. And what that do, that make your track to its loudest potential without peaking. And nature is trying to do the same to you. And if you give her a hard time, she will have to use more saturation. Some of us will have to go through more. So let me explain to you how this relates to music. Because, right, you don't need a lot of saturation for love songs. You need a lot of saturation for heavy ass trap music. That says a lot when you talk about spirituality. Now let's talk about first, last, last, first, and how it's reciprocating. Nothing is being cut, it's being saturated. Because the piano is running through the other instruments, when I saturate it, what happens is within these instruments, the piano that's inside of this bass, listen. I'm sorry about that mute. What I was saying was, so what's going on, since the piano, the bass, the kick, and all of that is occupying the same space, when I turn the piano up within that space and turn the kick down within that space, they're more uniform. It's not like nothing is being cut. The saturation brings forth a merging. Jet Li got a movie called The One. And he went around the multiverse trying to merge with all of the different versions of himself. That's what we're doing, y'all. We are the ones that are moving through this stairway to heaven, merging with all the infinite potential of what we can be as we move up this mountain. But we come face to face with those lower selves in the next realm to battle. That is the tester. See, Saturn is a test. You really being tested by yourself, not the stars, people. The stars are interacting with the crown chakra. Everyone is interpreting their own experience. You're your own Saturn. If you don't pass your own test, you come back here to repeat it. So the root word of repeat is rep, which is the same thing as rip or reap. See, the only time the ancestors reaped is when somebody died and they didn't accomplish their life goals. And they reaped because they knew that person would have to repeat or have a repetition in this lower world. If they knew that person completed their goal, they celebrated the death because they knew you were passing on to another greater version. You passed your test. So I'm giving you the etymology and the history of the words, how we use them today. You can make your comparisons. And why Saturn is associated with the number 5 is because Saturn represents that place holding spot that I told you about. You know, the ring in between the worlds. And the number 5 represent that spot in between the numbers where low is separated from high. Let's go back to the track and let me show you what's going on. How did we achieve maximization? The secret is saturation. When I saturate the track in the lowest, and see, the lowest thing about this beat is the piano. And that ain't cool for dynamics and when we want to boost this entire track. We want to make these things uniform. That's what nature does. She's working with you you're a song and you're in the process of being mastered right now. That's what life is. It's trying to get your different waves and vibrations uniform so you can be the loudest you can be. That's why I kept showing you the MGM lion. So you can roar. Now let me show you something real quick. How do we make this track roar, right? We go to the lowest parts of it and basically we saturate the entire track with the lowest parts. And what that's gonna do, that's gonna make the lowest parts high and the highest parts low without cutting them by slicing them. But we're cutting. See, the heaviest thing in this track is the bass, and we don't want that when we get ready to maximize it. We want to make it a little uniform because it's easier for the ear, for dynamics and the way we hear. We like uniformity. So what happens is I'm saturating the bass and all the other loud instruments with the low instruments. In other words, think of a crowd of people, and it's some people that's whispering in the crowd, so they ain't really being heard over all them yelling motherfuckers. So God come down and say, you know what? I'm gonna give you whisperers a microphone to even y'all voice out with the loud yelling people. They don't need a mic because they loud. So I'm gonna give y'all whisperers a little mic. When I give y'all a mic, it's gonna bring y'all levels up to even with theirs. Now everybody at the same level. Cause it ain't fair. Y'all need a mic since y'all whispering. So that's why the mic that I'm giving to the whisperers is saturation. Here are the whisperers. You hear how low that is? Listen to it again. Them piano notes is very low compared to that clap that just disrupted your ear. That's not good for listening. When you hear all of these little notes, then it just jumped to a big ass note like that. That's like that's tiring on the ears. You can't listen to this over and over without having a headache. So we gotta saturate it. And this is why you're able to listen to a song 100 times and not have a headache. Because your ears don't have to hop up and down and work as much when I even it out by giving the small people a microphone called saturation. And we call that the god Saturday or Saturn. So we're gonna get real deep here in a minute if you stay with me. So we're saturating these high notes with the low ones, and as a result, we bring them all back to balance. And now I'm gonna show you how that relates to you. I'm not teaching you music, I'm teaching you saturation. See how it became a little bit more uniform? That's a lot better on the ear. And in fact, it looked like a Christmas tree as opposed to a jagged edge. You see, and it's these shapes that I know when I see that, this is a good saturated track. Let me show you unsaturated. Now it's more like a hammer, if you will. Let's listen. That's not really good to have them low notes there in a big ass, you see? So let's listen to it saturated. And then I'm gonna show you how this relates to you some more. Now listen to this version. You see, that's more better because now them low notes is a lot louder to blend with that, right? And it looks like a shape we used to. It looks like a stairway. What this looked like when I saturate it, it looks like this. And that's what I'm teaching you, the laws of saturation. So we just saturated those loud notes with the low notes. So these different tones are reciprocating in and out of each other like we shuffling a deck of cards. And this is how astrology play out, because each time a version siphons into this version, you are putting on these different masks, because different versions of yourself exist in each layer. I told you, each of the sounds are stacked upon each other. It's stacks on stacks. People say, are you operating in your higher self or lower self? It's so many different versions of self, and they're constantly shuffling and recycling through the body. So you having these different personalities that makes up you. But this reacts in relation to the stars, because the crown chakra is basically all of these layers around your body are the different luminaries above your head. You have a black hole in the middle of your brain, and light can't escape a black hole. So every human is pulling in their own starlight into the pineal, where it's creating an aura around the body. And this body is tethered to the stars. And as the stars pour their light into the ground, it siphons through the crown and go through the spine, you know, and out the feet and around the body. But these different layers are constantly shuffling in and around each other, and you having all of these different new resurrections. Like if you look at my pictures when I was a child up until now, you will see me transforming into this teacher that I am today, going through all of these different steps. And that's represented by all of these different bodies. For a lot of your life, you lived in what I would say is the casual body, the earthly body. And then we start asking questions that lead us into the ethereal body, spiritual body, where we start interacting with this reality different, manipulating the elements different to make ourselves gurus. We begin to draw crowds because of that wisdom. This is the mystery of the sage and the oracle. So all of us are that. And what we got to realize, what I just showed you, is the first shall be last, last shall be first. We're constantly coming face to face with the lower versions of ourselves, even if we exist in higher realms, because they exist within you. As you move through these layers, you're not losing who you are. You're just cloaking it in another version of what you are becoming. Oh man, I don't know where that came from. I may need to write that down. I'm gonna say that again. That was deep, wasn't it? As you move through these different layers, you're not losing who you are. You're masking it in a new version of what you can be. Now, your next experience in the next realm, your challenge is going to be everything that you are in those past realms. All of your past karma that you had in those past realms will play out as challenges for you to get you to your next phase in another higher realm. You got to have tests, but it's you doing it. You're the one doing this to yourself. So the thing is, all of the different versions of ourselves, the lower and higher ones, exist in the same space. And basically, as you move up that blue little tube to other worlds, you drag all of those shells of those other worlds you lived in behind you. And the higher you go, the more rings are around you and the more challenges it is, but the more stronger you are and prepared for them. A great man once said, we shouldn't pray for easier lives, we should pray for stronger men. So if I tell you that the higher you go, the bigger the challenges, and you get scared, you probably gonna reincarnate, because a God ain't scared of a challenge. We don't want easier lives, we want stronger men. So as we move up this mountain, we're dragging behind all of these shells that we acquire, all of these rings with us. And this became Santa Claus going up a chimney with a sack. Think about what I'm giving you, the symbolism now. They told you Santa Claus go up a chimney with a big ass sack. That's us, y'all. As we move up this doggone chimney, we get more and more rings around our body. Like Santa Claus, as he moving up, the bag get bigger and bigger. The challenge is heavier, because the more world rings you acquire, like this right here, right? It gets hard for a superstar to keep winning rings because they get older. And guess what? The first shall be last and the last shall be first. Michael Jordan had to get old. And when Michael Jordan was getting old, Kobe Bryant was young, LeBron was young, and they was just at their prime. So just like I showed you when I did the musical track, how the little bitty sounds grew up to be as big as the big ones to get even with them, that's what life is. It's a song that's being saturated. So all of them superstars that got all them rings, you see the young boys bending their ankles, man. I remember when Jordan got crossed over by, I think, John Wall or one of them young boys. You start seeing these great gods that you looked up to get dominated by little bitty rookies because their knees getting weak. And this is the law of the cosmos, where the first shall be last, last shall be first, just like I showed you in the musical track. So as you move up and become a guru and acquire more rings, you're going to reach a point where you can't go no further because it's so heavy. And that's when you come back down here again and repeat it all over again. Only thing, see, and when I say repeat it all over again, this same kindergarten experience in another better way. In the military, we call it moving from enlistment to officer rank. After you complete all of the enlisted rank, then you got to start all over as a baby again and complete the officer rank. Then when you complete the officer rank, you start all over again into a higher level of school, but now you're a kindergarten student again. So what I'm telling you is your great grandma that passed away, she's a baby in the next realm, while you becoming a granddaddy in this realm. That's called saturation. And that's why this God is called Saturn, or the Reaper. Death is just transitioning, y'all. Is you growing old into a baby again. That's why the old people start acting like babies. They lose their teeth. They get in the fetal position. They start curling up. Their skin start becoming like a baby again. There is no death. It's just renewal. We're basically reciprocating within our own selves. We call it life and death. Rebirth, life, death. It's basically an apple getting rotten and dropping off the tree because it's now rotten. But then the seed go in the ground and make a whole new tree. And they keep doing it again, rotten. And then they go in the ground and make a brand new young tree. First shall be last, last shall be first. First shall be last, last shall be first. When you understand this, there are no fears of death. When you understand this, there are no fears of death. So why do I say life is a satire? Well, let's read what a satire is, because this is related to the god Saturn, Saturday, and saturation. Satire is the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics and other topical issues. And basically, it's used to bring the best out of a person by using the worst. And that's called first shall be last, last shall be first. Another way the ancestors said this was to slay your dragons. And now we got a game called Dragon Slayer. In other words, if you want to make a person brave, you don't shield them from their fears. You make them face their fears. So with each of these classrooms, we face what we need to face to be a hero. And until you become a god, you can't ascend like Jesus did on this Mount Calvary to the source, to the higher God, the Father self. See, Father is further. The Father is further. I'm just giving you the symbolism. I'm interpreting it with the Spirit, people. Jesus is the Father because it's the Father self, it's the further self, or the higher self. And I'll show you that again. As you can see, it's called a divine body. The divine body was called the Father, but it's the furthest one. It's the Father, it's the you gotta go high, you gotta go further to meet the Father. Okay? Now we know we call it the Mother, but I'm just showing you how they interpret it with the Christians and stuff. So now let's talk about this life that is a play, it's a satire. Basically, all this shit you going through is a joke to the spiritual realm, because it's not real. It's a fucking simulation that you running, because the ancestors saw you needed to face this shit to become greater. Saturn is a tester. So this life is a satire, and you get laughed at. You get joked on. Things are exaggerated here. Why? Because when you exaggerate something, you build upon it. And if you look at the image, you see what I'm showing you. This body is an exaggeration of the spirit, y'all. It's the spirit exaggerated. The real you is not about exaggerations, meaning the real truth lies behind all of the fucking exaggerations. I hate when a person exaggerates. I hate it, man. Just tell the fuck, stop fucking exaggerating, dog. Some of these folks, man, they'll take a trip to Florida for 3 days, and after they get through exaggerating, they'll tell you they was in Cancun for a month. See, that's exaggerate. That's a satire. That's not the real truth. The real truth is you did go on vacation, but nigga, it was in Florida for 3 days. Quit exaggerating. So the body is the spirit exaggerated. It's not the real you. It's what happens when the spirit becomes dense into matter, and it's here to face all of the different things that it thought it was, it's a purging process. This is a simulation where you're here to face everything you need to face, to purge yourself. But when we say purge, we're saying merge yourself. There's a lot of good things that we acquire in the physical body based upon this satire of life that actually enhances the soul, based upon you putting this mask on called a body. So another way you can look at this diagram is a woman. Think of a woman, right? She wakes up in the morning, washes her face. She has a beautiful, pretty, natural face. Then she puts on makeup. She puts on a different face over her real face, and we call it makeup. And the reason I'm pointing it out is because this is the makeup of our cosmos. See, every time you move through a layer, you put on a layer of makeup, because you're taking all of these different versions of the self with you. They're merging. So think of that woman putting on one layer of makeup. Then she say, I want to add another layer. And if I got any sisters in the chat room, they'll tell you, you can go up to a couple of layers, but the more layers you do, you're going to start looking like a fucking clown. Sisters, am I talking right? It's cool to add layers to your makeup, but if you put too many layers, you look like Bozo the Clown. Why am I saying that? This reality is a clown reality, y'all. We put on too much makeup and now we all clowns in this satire. We're trying to take off the different layers of makeup and peel them off to make the true self be revealed again, because now this body is an exaggerated self. It's a clown self. See, with that woman that put on 100 layers of makeup, we laugh at her because it's a satire. I just read to you what the satire mean. All of this symbolism is spiritual, y'all. The woman with the less makeup on, we say, oh shit, she natural. We take her serious. The one that put on 50 layers, oh, that's some clown shit. See, in this reality, we are clowns who put on all these damn makeup layers because we didn't know who we was. Now it's our time to make it out and peel off the layers to get to the true self. And that's what we're doing with each video. We're ripping through the layers like the football team ripped through the homecoming paper, because this is our homecoming. We are merging with the self, and we ain't coming back to play this game again. This is called awakening what you feeling right now. This is called awakening what you feeling right now. So what I'm saying is, we fell into this dense world through all the layers until we finally came into this physical layer, which is the physical body, which is the clown body, the exaggerated body of the spirit. When you say exaggeration, take the X off and you get saturation or saturation. Exaggeration is saturation or Saturn energy. Putting layers on top of shit, putting a veil over it. This realm has so many veils on it that people don't even know who they are here. So they constantly keep being recycled here because this is a very dense realm. So think about what I was telling you earlier, because another way you can look at moving up that mountain is every time we move up that mountain, a layer is removed from the inside out. I told you these auras are reciprocating. The lower self is existing at the center right now. We call it the human body. But when the body dies and you climb up the mountain, the bodies start to exist around the spirit. They trade places because the first is last first. So as this thing contracts and expands and shuffles, it's because you're moving up this thing in that bag of gifts. Remember, you're carrying. Those gifts are moving around in a bag, or what we call reciprocating. What I'm telling you is that as you move up the mountain through the different layers, when you, just for example, when you pass the green, just say when you leave out of this world and you pass that first purple layer, let's just say that's this first purple layer right here. You see this first purple layer around your body? It's the last one. All of the other layers are higher than it. So this little purple one is the last one. But when you move up this mountain, it's the first one. So as you move up that mountain, that's the first thing to get filtered. That body goes to that realm, and vice versa. The higher you move up, that layer of light body around you reciprocates as it connects with its color code. It's shuffled to the back and to the center again and outward again, like shuffling cards. Each time the color codes connect, as you pass through the layer, that one becomes, whichever color you connecting, that layer comes to the top. And then as you move through the next one, that layer comes to the top, pushing the other one downward. So these colors are shuffling or reciprocating among themselves. I hope y'all see what I'm saying. It's very simple. It's the same thing I just showed you in the music instrument when I brought the piano out to the top and pushed the bass to the back. This is saturation. I'm just giving it to you in a way that's so deep, you probably ain't gonna get nowhere else, and I get to say that. This is so deep that a lot is going over a lot of people's head, but it needs to be recorded for the children. They're gonna get it quicker than some of you old dogs who can't learn new tricks. I'm gonna also get in the chat room because I think we need to, it's zone out distracting y'all and giving problems. Let me stop a minute, take a break, get with the chat room and kind of get some order here, because the knowledge I'm giving you is under attack by many agents of distraction, and I will get rid of them. Put a 1 in the chat room if zoned out being a problem. It appears, I don't know if I was looking at the chat right, I couldn't really pay attention, but I thought he was being a problem. Put a 1 if he was being a problem. So what I did, we took away his wrench, and I ain't gonna block him, but y'all gonna have fun beating him upside the head with them wrenches. So here's my message to you zoned out. You want some attention? You got it, brother. You got it. Shout out to the sister Soul Got It. Thank you for that super chat donation, my queen. And to my brother Citizen Man, I will have an open panel today on Flat Power TV. That'll be tonight on Flat Power. We'll have a open panel. And to my brother Cook Carter, much love to you, my brother. Appreciate all your support. Appreciate that donation, my brother. So yeah, y'all can time out the brother's own many times as you want to. He gonna feel like he blocked. I think I pretty much done what I needed to do today. I don't think there's no need for me to keep beating this horse. This was a good short hour and a half long presentation that I wanted to do for Thursday, teaching y'all the secrets of saturation in Saturn. If y'all like this, we can make this a series, because there's obviously a lot of things I can teach about saturation, Saturn, and symbolism that's involved with it. If you would like that, then like the video, get in the comment section, and we'll make it a series. But as for now, I'm gonna get on up out of here because it is my time. I want to make this one short to re-upload it on another channel. Peace and much love to all of y'all. I want to say thank you for stopping by, for coming through, giving me your time. I hope I was able to enlighten you in some way, give you some kind of inspiration, some kind of encouragement, decrease some of the spookism that is a result of our indoctrination. You know, a wise man once said that some to the nature of, one of the things that we think about the most is the unknown, but it's the least discussed thing. I want to change that because the ancestors spent their whole life dealing with the unknown because they knew that was the mystery of the known, right? If you only focus on what you know, you won't go any higher. It's that what you don't know that allows for ascension. That's what led you here. This is the secrets of Saturn. This is a test. All you got to do is pass it. And when we say pass it, we mean you need to pass the Passover. Jesus spoke of a Passover. You need to pass through this test, or this terrestrium, because this terrest is a test. This terrestrium is a test. You need to pass through it, like, and be the Christ that you are. That's a passing over. So I want to give spiritual enlightenment. I don't speak to the body. I speak to the soul. I speak to the part of you that you're going to shift your consciousness to on that hospital bed. A lot of people, they don't know the importance of what I do, but there's been several people sent me emails on their last limb of life saying, brother, I'm dying without any fears because of you, Brother Sanchez. And that's one thing I always wanted to do for humanity, is take away our fears of death, because it's our fears of death that makes us reincarnate and fail the test. Peace and much love, guys. Love y'all.